you may need to make as your car gets a little bit older. Are you going to trade it in? Are you going to resell? Maybe you need to change parts. Where do you actually go? But also just having that relationship after the actual sale with the dealership or the brand. What does that relationship look like? What are some of the things that you do need to consider when you are looking now to actually foster a good relationship with them? So I'd like you to please help me bring on stage. His name is Albrecht Grundel. He's the VP Ops with 20 years experience covering marketing, sales, parts distribution, and of course, after sales. Albert Grundel.
Thanks for that nice introduction. Right, maintenance of your vehicle, ownership cost. I think a lot of us get caught up in the hype, the vehicle that we want to drive, the retail price of the vehicle. And when it comes to that final decision, when you're about to sign on the dotted line, I'm going to ask you to think about just a few other things before you do that. And as I said, the majority of us, when we're doing that decision making, we look at the retail price, we look at what the car looks like, potentially what the brand means to us. But there is a lot of unknown costs that go with owning a vehicle. And the hidden costs that I want to touch on today, things like service and maintenance. There's a lot of talk about that at the moment. Do I want my service and maintenance covered in the cost of the vehicle? Do I want to be able to pay for that ad hoc? The running costs of the car, things like fuel efficiency, how reliable the vehicle is that you're buying, the particular brand, can I trust it? Insurance costs, I think specifically if you're a new car buyer, probably one of the biggest expenses you'll have to incur, to make sure that you can obviously continue driving that car. And then the unforeseen costs, specifically around a used car purchase. Because a lot of decisions are said, well, it's a wrong decision to buy a new car, it's better to buy a used car. It is a very, very debatable subject. I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios so that you can make the decision for yourself. So let's have a look. Let's take a deep dive into what cost of ownership is really all about. At the end of the day, it's about working out something like a cost per kilometer, and that is the cost that it's going to cost you over the period or the kilometers that you're driving. Very simple division calculation. And I'm going to make a couple of assumptions just to keep it consistent. I've taken it over a 5-year ownership period, an interest rate of 11.25, no deposit, the current fuel cost about 26 Rand and 30 cents, and I've worked on an insurance cost of about 1,500 Rand per month. Now, that can vary significantly depending on your individual risk profile. Okay, I'm just putting it as a static number, which is sort of in the middle. It's going to vary probably between 700 to up to 2,000 Rand, depending on if you're a new buyer, high-risk customer, etc. So if we look at your first year, specifically on the quid, now the big advantage there, you see that 0. In your year 1, your monthly insurance is 0. Now that saves you, off the bat, 1,500 Rand a month. Okay, that is a massive, massive saving that you don't have to worry about in your first year, and it's often the biggest barrier for a new car buyer because you've got that installment, anything from 2,000 to 3,000, 4,000 Rand a month, plus then this 1,500 or 2,000 Rand a month added to that. Then you go into your service and maintenance costs. Now, look at that year 1, 1 Rand 29 per kilometer, and then a slight increase in year 2 to 1 Rand 39. And now with the quid, you get a service plan with 2 years included into your financing cost, right? That's why that cost is so low. It goes up slightly in year 2, main reason being, okay, you might have to change your wiper blades. But your first 2 years of running is predominantly just fuel and potentially tires if you're quite a heavy driver. If you look at your year 3, okay, slightly higher again, because obviously as the vehicle gets older, like all of us, we need a little bit more TLC, and a few things can go wrong over time. But like you might have to change brakes, you might have to change a set of tires, potentially some discs in year 4. So yeah, you can see a gradual increase from 1 Rand 29 per kilometer to 1 Rand 81 per kilometer. Now, over a 60,000 kilometer distance or over 4 years, it gives you an average of 15,000 Ks a year. That, from a service point of view, is going to cost you 1 Rand 57 a kilometer. Throw in the insurance, because obviously year 2 to 4, you'll have to obviously cover yourself, plus your installments, plus your fuel. You're looking at about a 5 Rand 45 Rand per kilometer to drive a quid for 4 years. Then what I've done, I've compared it to a top 5 OEM similar product, okay? Slightly more expensive retail-wise, okay? But it is one of the top 5 sold brands in the country. And I've compared it, right? Well, that brand doesn't come with insurance. So there you can see you're already paying 1,500 Rand a month more than the other, well, than you would have with the Quid. Then you're looking at your service costs. Okay, 1 Rand 50 per kilometer. Well, their parts are slightly more expensive. And the other thing, they don't have a 2-year service plan, they've only got a 1-year service plan. So then you see the difference in year 2. Goes to 1 Rand 77, because I'm paying for the service, plus potential maintenance costs like a set of wipers potentially. Year 3, it shoots up to 2 Rand, because their parts are more expensive, and because maybe discs, battery, etc. So you get a cost of 2 Rand 69. That's almost a Rand more expensive than what the Quid was. So that's the type of thinking I want you to think about when you're buying a car. I know it's exciting, I know it's hype, and oh, that car looks good. But what is the support and what is it going to cost me to drive it? It's not just the installment. Whether you extend a service plan, whether you extend your warranty, which becomes even more important on the next decision. The decision of buying a new car versus an equivalent retail price used car. So if you look at a car that's very similar price to a Quid, you're going to probably get a 2019 model with about 63,000 on the clock. At first things you say, well, that's not so bad. I can live with that. But for 63,000 kilometers, someone else has been driving that vehicle. Did they look after the car? You don't know. Yes, it might be working now, but still under warranty. Yes, let's say it's a 5-year warranty vehicle. You're okay for the next, 37,000 kilometers. You're okay. But year 1, straight away, you're paying for your insurance again. Your year 1 services, chances are you don't have a service plan, or you might have 1 year left on your service plan if they had a 3-year plan included. But look how the costs escalate. Year 2, 1 Rand 61. Year 3, 2 Rand. Now, year 4 is something we all need to think about that we don't want to. Because year 4 of ownership of a used car is your first year, if it's a 2-year vehicle, outside of warranty. Okay, now you have things like shocks. I promise you, once you've gone over 100,000 to keep that car safe and making sure that your car is roadworthy, you need shocks, because shocks start to go after 100,000 kilometers. Other things, clutches, it's natural wear and tear. After 5 years, after 100,000 kilometers, clutches start to go. The big one, gearbox or engine overhaul. That can cost you anything from 30 to 60,000 Rand, depending on the brand. Right, let's say you need to replace your shocks, the gearbox goes and the clutch goes in the 6th year of the vehicle, but your 4th year of ownership. Your cost per kilometer is 6 Rand per kilometer. Now the chances are that might not go wrong, but you're putting yourself into that risk bucket. And that's why it's also important to say, if I'm going to buy a car, there's additional products that can help you. I think Bev touched on them, extending your warranty, extending your service or maintenance plan to help mitigate these costs, because it only hurts you when it happens. But then if you look at the summary, let's compare. So over a 4-year period of the other new car competitor, our servicing is by far more affordable. We're in position number 1 in the latest AA reporting for service items. The Quid came as number 1, which is something that we've been working really hard at Renault to make sure that our parts are affordable, because everyone said, no, Renault parts are expensive. But AA has proved us that the work that we've been putting in, we're the number 1 position vehicle for service parts. We include a 2-year service plan. We include 1-year comprehensive insurance. Over a 4-year period, with that calculation I showed you, you save just short of 50,000 Rand over 4 years. If you look at the used vehicle, let's say those things go wrong and you didn't take an extended warranty, you didn't take an extended service plan, you would have saved 88,000 Rand by buying a new vehicle. And I think those are the decisions that we don't want to do because we get caught up in the hype. Hey, I want to get the new car. I want to drive the exciting vehicle. I want to buy a bigger used car. But the bigger used car brings across more risk, more fuel, because it's probably a bigger engine, more chance of something to go wrong. From a parts distribution side, Renault, we've invested about 4 or 5 years ago When we moved away from a subsidiary to a full importer, we invested in a massive warehouse, 5,000 square meters, and we stock almost 100 million rands worth of parts. Okay, now in today, that is very important because we all know that if something goes wrong with your car, there's over 2,500 unique parts on a vehicle. And we obviously try and stock as many of those as we can, and we try and understand what can potentially go wrong because we have that history through our dealer network, and we obviously stock fast-moving parts, medium-moving parts, and slow-moving parts based on the local market consumption. That's how much stock we are holding in our network at the moment. The other thing, as I mentioned, the AA spare parts pricing guide that gets done every year, I think it is an important thing for all consumers to look at. This gives you a very good guideline as to what it's going to cost you to maintain your vehicle. I've just done a summary of the service items, and I've shown you obviously Quid and Triber are the most affordable out of sort of the entry-level vehicles. Now, Renault, Triber, Quid 1 and 2, Aigo 3, Suzuki Swift, Atos, Datsun, and Kia Picanto in 7th position. That's freely available. I urge you, go have a look. They break it down into service, maintenance, and crash parts. For today's exercise, I've purely looked at the service costs. The other thing that we're doing is we've launched a loyalty rewards program or loyalty bot with Renault. And what that is we're trying to reward our customers to keep coming back to our dealerships. And what we do is we've created this app. You can download it. It's available at any of your dealerships. You can go onto our website, click on the QR code and download. And what we do is we issue vouchers to our customers. 500 Rand discounts on your next brakes, because we want to keep our customers coming back to our dealerships. All right? And we're also trying to build value in maintaining your vehicle with our dealerships, because we spend a lot of time training our service technicians, training our service advisors to make sure that we can give you the best experience when servicing your vehicle in our network. We've also been working quite a lot on our digital experience. We've spent quite a bit of R&D in offering a really robust online service booking. It's not just a service booking tool where you can go online and put your name and your email and we phone you back. We've actually built a type of quoting system that builds into our service schedule. And at the end of the booking, if your vehicle is under service plan or not under service plan, even if you potentially qualify for a voucher, it'll be there for you. And then you can select the type of service and what items you would like changed on your vehicle. And that's all done at the comfort of your home, on your iPhone or your Android phone, iPad, or even on your laptop. And you can go to renault.co.za or alternatively go to the Renault Car Care website and obviously register for the bot or book in your service there. Then just to give you an idea, another important thing to consider when buying a car, will they be able to look after me when I'm driving across our big country? We have a very, very big country and a lot of sort of spaces between our major cities. Renault has about 88 dealerships that are open across the country right now. That gives you a lot of confidence that if you're driving from Joburg to Cape Town, Joburg to Kimberley, Joburg to Polokwane, you are covered if something goes wrong. Over 250 approved body shops if you're in an accident. That are people that are trained on how to repair your vehicle in case something goes wrong. There is one of our biggest customer complaints that we have from a brand is when a customer tries to go to a body shop that is not authorized. And those people are not trained. But if you're going to an unapproved panel shop, the risk is that potentially they might charge you for a new part, but they actually put in a used part. So those are the type of things to consider as well. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Albrecht, thank you so much. Please do join us in the hot seat. I'd love to ask a couple of questions. Very interesting what you've shared, and I think you often take it for granted that you think there'll just be a Renault where I'm going, but to know that there's 88 dealerships across South Africa is quite impressive. So thank you very much for that. And I want to start literally where you left off, talking about approved body shops, approved panel beaters, and all of that. How important is it to make sure that you are not using, my word is mukokotelo, but how important is it to use authorized parts for any type of fixing or maintenance in your car?
Look, I think there's a lot of talk around the right to repair at the moment, with a lot of non-OEM workshops saying that they can repair the vehicle the same way as an OEM can. On the parts side, yes, there are equivalent parts. I think for the average consumer, the risk is, how do you know it's an equivalent part? You get brakes that will last a specific mileage that you will pay a premium for, and then there are brakes that potentially could be cheaper that will last half the distance. I wouldn't be able to tell on face value. If you had to put 2 sets of brake pads in front of me and I would have said, this costs you 100 Rand, this will cost you 50 Rand, I'm going to say, okay, we'll put the 50 Rand in. But again, going back to the ownership cost, is that going to last me 20, 30,000 kilometers, or is that going to last me 10,000 kilometers?
Yeah.
And I think when you go to an OEM workshop, you have that peace of mind that the OEM parts are of a certain quality. And I think also the other thing that you've got to look into is the technicians that are working on the vehicle. So we spend a lot of money in training, ensuring that our technicians are fully equipped on how to repair your Renault. So if something goes wrong, they have the right diagnostic tools, they have the right equipment to obviously repair your vehicle.
Now, I don't know, guys, did you see when Albrecht was showing us the costings on the first slide? Do you guys remember how much the insurance was on a new Quid? 0, right? It was 0. What informed that decision?
Well, I think, from the marketing team and the product team, we had to say, well, what is the biggest barrier for a first-time buyer in the market? And as I mentioned, depending on your risk profile, insurance can go up to 2,000 Rand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much the same cost as your monthly installment. So now a car that would have cost you between 2,000 to 3,000 Rand, adding on that insurance, it puts you out of your affordability range. And I think by allowing customers to sort of get that opportunity to get that insurance covered, build up a bit of a track record with the insurance company so that when they have to pay for the insurance themselves, if they've driven well for that first year, automatically they will go down into a much better risk bucket. So their insurance should be more affordable if they drove well.
Thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thanks for having me.
See you. Albrecht, guys, please give him a round of applause.
Try to grab everybody's attention. I'm very active, very hands-on when it comes to advanced driver training, when it comes to defensive driver training, because it's a big passion. Out of most of the accidents that I've seen in my life that I've had to investigate, the